So a takeaway is a really important part of reinforcing the correct answer in your learners. So as you can see on the screen here, we've got an example lesson where a learner hasn't got the correct answer to a question. So on the left, we have a takeaway where Ed is automatically reinforcing them and saying, no, you didn't get that question correct, but we haven't helped our learner out at all. They know that they got it wrong, but they don't know what the right answer is. They don't know why they got it wrong. But on the right, what we have is a nice quality takeaway that provides the correct answer to help those learners who didn't get the question right, and it gives some context as to why this information is important for them to know. A nice thing that we sometimes see is instructional designers being very positive in their takeaways and saying, oh, that's right, nice one, you did it, as part of the feedback text. But it doesn't really make sense for a learner who gets it wrong. And as you can see in the screenshot on the left here, the learner might be feeling a bit confused because Ed is telling them they got the question wrong, then the rest of the takeaway there is saying they got it right. Just be careful when you're creating your takeaways to keep in mind that it has to work both when a learner gets the question wrong and when they get the question right. So finally, what you want to consider when you're creating your takeaways is that it has to be understandable in a context-neutral scenario. So you can see on the right there, we use the takeaways of interactive templates when we are creating the lesson summary screen. So what this screen is, that when a learner exits the lesson, they get this nice screen that pops up and it summarizes everything they've learned in that lesson, just as a quick automatic recap. We automatically take these from takeaways. And what that means is that when the learner's reading the takeaway in that summary screen, they don't have the context of the question there to help them understand it. So while that takeaway might make sense for the learner's just read all these different advertising formats, for example, it doesn't make sense to read all of these in your advertising formats when there's no advertising formats on the screen. So you can see it really doesn't take much effort to make your takeaways make sense even without the context of the question. So just keep that in mind. If you find yourself saying all of these or yes, this is correct in the takeaway without explaining it, just double check how that looks in the lesson summary screen.